I was never the biggest Sonic fan. I like the concept, don't love the food. With that said though, you know, I could see people liking it as a very specific taste profile. Close to Burger King, actually, in terms of taste. But even that is not the main attraction, because the true gold of Sonic is their shake. The Sonic shake right here, wow. Nice and even throughout. That nice chocolate color, the gradient. Give it a little sip. Yeah, that's good. So I would come to Sonic if you wanted like a late night shake, drive in, don't want to go to the drive-thru, want to talk to a little robot at your car window, get a pretty good shake overall. I think they should be hopefully not disappearing any more than they are, or at least in New Jersey. Let me know if they're disappearing in your town. Behind me is Red Lobster. So we're going to be investigating the spot that once had 700 locations, now has 545. They went bankrupt last year in 2024 and hired a new CEO. Apparently a lot has changed on the inside. They've changed what it looks like. They changed the menu. They changed the service. I'm going to investigate to see whether or not that's true and if it deserves to be disappearing. Let's go inside. I used to love Red Lobster. I think this was my favorite restaurant for about a 10-year slot from ages 6 to 16. Every birthday would be at Red Lobster. This would be the spot. So I'm really rooting for it. I want to give it a good rating here. Okay, lobbies look the same. Guess we keep it somewhat down until we get the vibe. All right, and here we are. If you've never been to a Red Lobster, you're able to choose the lobster that you want to eat, which is kind of messed up when you think about it. You're like, oh, I'm going to target him because he's nice and juicy. I mean, I might be doing that. So that guy right there, unfortunately, is possibly meeting his demise. All right, so we just sat down. It looks kind of like as it always has. The inside is just very comfortable, very like boat-like. What's that word I'm looking for?
Nautical?
Very nautical. Michael told me that word. I forgot the word, but it's a very nautical theme in here, obviously. So just went ahead and ordered the ultimate feast, and we're getting our biscuits as well. So I'm excited to try those. The cheddar biscuits have arrived as a good-looking biscuit. All right, let's see if it's as I remembered. Why do people forget how good these are? I think as far as bread at restaurants go, this is the best bread at a restaurant. Think of any other restaurant that gives you bread. This is top tier. This is the top bread at a restaurant. All right, so the ultimate feast has finally arrived. Here's what it looks like. So we have tail, crab leg, shrimp, coconut shrimp, broccoli, mashed potatoes. We have our bibs. I feel like these are new. All right, so now I'm going to dig in. Let's start with the shrimp. That's good. Garlic and butter sauce, shrimp. Okay, this is a coconut shrimp. Both shrimp solid so far. Go for this, crab legs. I love a crab leg, one of God's greatest gifts. This is our friend from the beginning, flashback to him. So that guy right there, unfortunately, is possibly meeting his demise. And then the grand finale, lobster tail dipped in butter. This is what drives the price up. This is why you come here. Very good. Definitely expensive. It was like $48, but the lobster tail alone, I think, is probably like 20 bucks of that. Plus the king crab legs. Oh, they're not as big as I thought they would be. Usually they're a bit thicker, so I would have got like a preteen crab. But if you had like a nice male adult meaty crab, usually the legs are a bit bigger. All right, so just finished up at Red Lobster. Overall, really enjoyed the food. A little bit expensive, but that's to be expected with seafood. So overall, I'm a big fan of Red Lobster. I think it generally lived up to the hype that I was expecting. The cheddar biscuits were on point. I really don't think they should be disappearing. I think they had a pretty good turnaround with his new CEO, so I'm rooting for them, Red Lobster. I'm on your side. All right, so we're here outside of Sbarro. We're in a mall. At one point, Sbarro used to run malls in America. There was 1,000 locations. Nowadays, there's 50 in the US and 300 globally, so they're actually pretty popular globally still. They just recently shut down the Times Square Sbarro, which used to be a landmark. That's gone now. Most of the time you see these things are just in dying malls where we are right now. So we're gonna give it a fair test to see if they're actually any good anymore and if it's deserved. So we have a lot of different slices here. I'm just gonna go ahead and get their classic pepperoni. I feel like that's the fairest shake, so it's gonna be this guy right here. Kind of looks like a cafeteria pizza, which I liked. I always loved getting pizza in school, so it might bring a wave of nostalgia. If you're over the age of 20, the bars is probably meaningful to you. If you're under the age of 20, you've likely never heard of it, but it used to be kind of goated. We'll see nowadays what it's like. All right, pizza has been ordered. I could be reading this wrong. I think one slice is $8. If I see that, that is the most expensive single piece of pizza I've ever ordered in my life. So I just got it. It was $8.43 for just one slice of pepperoni. If you were to stretch that out to 8 slices for a pie, $65. I've never paid so much for a pizza in my life. Thank you so much. Pizza secured. We're gonna go ahead and try it. It's a cute little box. New York City established 1956, but maybe extinct 2026. Let's find out. Time for the big reveal. My $9 pizza slice. All right, I want to give it a fair shot. Right now, it's like a 1 out of 10 because I've never paid this much for pizza before. But the taste test, it's got good like oregano on it, cheese, grease, all that good stuff. Pretty solid flop. This thing should be $3. I don't hate it. I wanted to hate it so badly. I don't hate it. I think it's pretty good. It's got good spice to it. It's a nice hearty slice. I can see just filling somebody up because it's got a lot of grease on it, and oil, of course, is super heavy. I really don't hate it. Like, the pizza itself is like a 7.5 out of 10, but the price, when you add it in, the value of it is like a 3 out of 10. Service was good. Ambiance, it's a kiosk in a mall, so there's really not much to add to it. Do I think these things are going to be around in 2026, 2027? Unfortunately not, unless they really get their prices down. So rest in peace to Sbarro's. Lots of meat on here. They're very generous, so I appreciate that, but this may be our last meeting ever. It's a little bit sad because I do like it.
The next restaurant we're going to be investigating is one of the largest fast food restaurants in the entire world, and that is Pizza Hut. Now, Pizza Hut is iconic for its outside. It looks like this, every single one of them, but recently, as Wally B26 shows us, a lot of them are becoming closed down and abandoned. So when he walks up to the door, this store is closed, and this is happening all over the globe. In the US and just internationally, everywhere Pizza Hut is not having a great day. And so, look how cool that is, by the way. You could pop out a YouTube video using the pop-out feature on Opera browser, have it up on other tabs, whatever it may be, and you can just move it around freely. Anyways, I'm going to use AI so I could summarize the current state of Pizza Hut. So nice and simply, I could ask Ario, which is Opera's free built-in AI tool, utilizes this shortcut right here. It just pops up so I can just write something in. I could say, what is currently going on with Pizza Hut and closures? It looks like Pizza Hut is currently facing some significant changes regarding its location. So they've had store closures, franchise challenges, resulting in over 300 closures. You could even ask Aria for AI image generation. So for instance, if I wanted to prompt this by saying, generate for me an image of an abandoned Pizza Hut, you are then able to get it. So that is what it looks like. I mean, that is what all of your local Pizza Huts are going to look like. What I also like about Opera is the customizable themes. So for instance, if you wanted to go to the theme gallery here, the themes are super dynamic. So for instance, I'm a dark mode guy, so I like Aurora, but if you go in, it's literally animated background. So as you can see, you can move it around based on what your tone and feel is, calm, active, whatever it may be, and you can have an animated wallpaper. They also have other features included like Tab Island, in which you're able to group different tabs based on themes. You can collapse them as well so they don't get in the way of your workflow. But anyways, to take advantage of these free features, you can use Opera today by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. So thank you again to Opera for sponsoring this video. Now let's get some Pizza Hut.
Now we're outside of Pizza Hut. So Pizza Hut is one of the largest global fast food chains for pizza, only to Domino's. And at Pizza Hut, they're currently closing down thousands of locations because their parent company ended up going bankrupt. So 1,500 locations went bankrupt, and now there's just a few remaining. Not many people apparently go to Pizza Hut for a bunch of different reasons, but we're gonna check it out today. Pizza Huts are iconic, and I must say, I've never been in one in my entire life. This is my first time in a Pizza Hut. This is the interior. You'll see literally nobody's in here at all. So it's just us, lots of memorabilia. It feels like a basement, you know, like a man cave basement. Good lighting. I actually like the ambiance here. Like, the vibes are pretty cool. So their signature item is the personal pan pizza. So I got a personal pan pepperoni pizza. It was about $10 with the drink. I got an orange juice, not by choice. I tried to get a water, which they didn't have, which is crazy. And then I tried to get a Diet Pepsi, which they didn't have. And so I ended up getting an orange juice with pizza, which I don't think was actually a good choice in retrospect. I'm not sure they go well together. There's only one worker. I think he's the waiter. I think he's the host. I think he's the chef. So shout out to that guy. But nobody else in here. Amazing. Thank you. So the pizza has arrived. It was just a quick little dump off. Let's get into it. Let's see what this looks like. All right, this is the pizza that is disappearing. This guy right here. All right, so they turned on some music for us. It wasn't playing for like 20 minutes while we were here. And then I think maybe they realized we were filming or something and they want to like bring up the vibes a bit. So now we got like another worker came out. They're playing music. Pizza came out, hot, fresh, looks good. Here's the bite of their pepperoni personal pan pizza. You know what? That is mid. Let me give another bite. Something about Pizza Hut sauce, it just tastes like school lunch, middle school, you know, like those little like pizza sticks that you can order and get, and it has like that marinara sauce you dip on the side. It's like a fusion of that. Let me try the crust as well. Okay, crust is good. Now we're talking. It's like everything but the marinara sauce is pretty solid. All right, that was Pizza Hut. Do I think that Pizza Hut's gonna be extinct in 5 to 10 years? Probably. It was all right. The ambiance was a little bit weird just because there wasn't people in it, but it looked cool. Whole bunch of interesting things going on here. They also have a wing street attached to it, which I think is the wings supplier of Pizza Hut. I don't know what that's about. So Pizza doesn't even make their own wings apparently, but whatever's going on here, it is the definition of mid. So here we are outside of Denny's. Denny's at their high point had 1,700 restaurants. Now they're down to about 1,500 and closing about 100 every single year. This is one of the rare ones left in New Jersey. So we'll be going inside, we'll be testing out the food, seeing the service, seeing the ambiance, and seeing if we think they're going to be disappearing within the next 5 to 10 years. Denny's primarily serves breakfast food, so they're known for their pancakes. Their Grand Slam is their big signature item, so that's what I will be ordering, and we're going to test it all out. Let's go in. Pretty good value. Think about that. One slice of Sbarro's pizza. All right, so we just sat down. Pretty comfy in here, right? Like, it looks like a house in here. It's hard to describe, but the interior design here, they have like paintings on the wall, and then they have certain light fixtures that remind me of just like a modern home. All right, so I'm getting the Choco Banana Pancake Slam. It's one of their prefixed Grand Slams. For $13, you get pancakes, hash browns, eggs, and sausage. Looks pretty good on the menu. We're gonna see if it actually tastes good. So here we have it. We have the chocolate chip pancakes, and then we have the over easy eggs with bacon and hash browns. This all comes together for about $13, I think, which is pretty good value. So I'm gonna dig right into these. I've heard pretty good things about Denny pancakes, so I'm excited to try them. Denny's pancake. Okay, I got too much banana, I think. Remove some for this. Not as good as I was expecting it to be, based on presentation and stuff. Maybe I'll be surprised with everything else. Hash browns are one of my least favorite foods. I think they're an abomination to the potato, so I don't have high hopes for this. Moving on, let's give the egg a try now. Good egg, strong egg right there. And then finish off with the bacon. Nice and crispy. That's a breakfast spot. Good eggs, good bacon, never touch again. And then the pancakes were about what you'd expect. They have games out here too, little claw machines. I'm not gonna play because I'm 1 for 1 in the past couple of years playing claw machines.
Yes! Nice, nice.
All right, so just finished up at Denny's. I'd say overall it was a pretty solid experience. The food came out relatively quickly. The ambiance was pretty nice. The service was fast, efficient. We got our check as soon as we asked for it. So really nothing negative to say about Denny's. I do still think that IHOP is superior in a lot of different ways. So I don't think it's gonna outcompete IHOP in this competitive pancake all day breakfast spots. But overall, pretty solid. And I don't think they should disappear completely, but I do see why they're reducing their locations because it didn't like oversell. It wasn't like the greatest thing I ever had, but still shout out to Denny's. Behind me we have Hooters, which we'll be investigating next. Hooters at its peak had 600 restaurants. Now they just have 246 locations spread across the US, Canada, and a couple of international ones. The reason why they ended up claiming bankruptcy back in March of 2025 is because of poor management and stiff competition, and I think also the changing environment had people not wanting to come in for what their main appeal is, which is women with big serving wings and beer. So we're gonna go inside and investigate to see whether or not they should be disappearing. Go inside. Ooh, the hottest sauce ever. There's not many left. This is the only one I believe in New Jersey. I think it's gonna be like college town in here. All right, so we made it to Hooters. We just placed orders for drinks, and we're gonna be getting some wings. It's pretty loud in here, but it's not that rowdy. Like there's a couple of tables max. It's like a sports bar, so they have like stuff on the TV, and then of course they have the waitresses that are just dressed in their Hooters attire. And the wings are apparently very good. I think I had the wings once or twice. I don't really remember, so this is gonna be basically a fresh assessment from me. Let's see how things go. All right, so we have the classic wings here. We got 10 of them, sauced and everything. So let's try. I'm gonna compare this to Buffalo Wild Wings because that's like the only comp in the chicken wing game I could think of. I mean, you have like Wingstop and stuff, but that's more like fast foody. This is sit down wings, so that's the only reference I have. It's kind of hard to mess up a chicken wing, and this does that. No, I'm kidding. This is fun. It kind of tastes like a chicken tender merged with a wing. Like I'm getting more tender than I am wing, which is kind of interesting, but yeah, there's not much to it, you know? Very meaty. Like they're pretty big, but they definitely don't skimp you. It's like $1.25 per wing, and you get a good amount of chicken throughout. Like it's gonna take me 4 bites to take down a single wing, which I think is pretty unique to them because other restaurants will just kind of skimp you because they want their margins to be bigger. Hooters says, we don't care, everything's bigger. The wings, just finished up at Hooters. The wings were good, the service was really solid. The ambiance was a bit interesting just because of the different dynamics happening there. You don't know people's reasons for being there, and it was just a little bit jumbled. The TVs were playing like flag football, which I've never seen in my life, but it's kind of like a discounted Buffalo Wild Wings, which a little more of a like dirty feel of walking into it. I actually left feeling better about Hooters than before, so I don't understand why they're disappearing. It's a fun spot. It's very different from like your traditional restaurant too. So I'm pretty impressed with what they had and showed. I mean, Hooters, don't think you should be disappearing. From my bar rescue going inside, you know, 10,000 feet up and just kind of looking down, I thought everything was pretty solid. Good job. Now we're outside of Blimpie. If you've never heard of Blimpie, it used to be a very popular sandwich shop. It's basically similar to a Subway, Jersey Mike's, but because of stiff competition, they went from 2,000 locations at their peak to now just 200 because they couldn't compete with the big guys. They had a lot of like branding and mascot issues apparently, and then just poor management overall. So this is one of the last remaining Blimpies. We're gonna check it out and see what the experience is like. like I've never been in one in my life, but apparently they're pretty hype. So let's go inside. Hey, what's going on, man? How are you? What do you recommend get it? What's like a signature, your favorite sandwich, a good one?
Signature one is the Blimpie Best. Classic stuff on top.
Blimpie Best?
Yeah.
They have the Blimpie way, so I guess that's similar to Mike's way. Comes with lettuce, tomato, onion, oil, and red vinegar and oregano. So I ordered the Blimpie's Best, and I'm gonna get a chocolate chip cookie, and we're gonna test out the two. Hey. Can I get it the Blimpie way? All right, thanks, my man. Appreciate it. Blimpie sub right here. So I got Blimpie's special, and I got it the Blimpie way. Shout out to the server at Blimpie. Super awesome. Like service right off the bat is like 10 out of 10. It was super cool with like letting us record and get a bunch of shots. So really like the vibes of Blimpie so far. I like the color scheme. I like the retro sort of logo. Looks very 90s, which I like. But now it's time for the food taste, what we are all waiting for. The bread is pretty soft. All right, so a good amount of meat, pretty generous here. All right, first bite. I mean, it's a sub. Yeah, I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. Subway, of course, has cookies that people say are some of the best cookies in the world, which I disagree with. And as a cookie connoisseur, let's see if Blimpies can compete. Looks good, nice and buttery there, held together. Not super warm, but the chocolate chips look good on it. Oh, wow. It's solid. At the first bite, I thought it was gonna blow my mind, but then as I started chewing, I was like, okay, it's fine. All right, so Blimpies overall, do I think they should be disappearing? No, because I really like the service, and then I think the taste profile was somewhere between Subway and Jersey Mike's. So they do have a place in the sub market, but unfortunately, they're not gonna stand out in any regard, but I think they'll be okay if they just keep like a few amount of locations. And if you happen to stumble across a Blimpie, I do pretty much recommend. Not like a strong recommendation, but if you're hungry, you got one nearby, it's probably worth trying. Moving on. So here we are outside of Johnny Rockets. Johnny Rockets, the famous burger chain. You go in, it's got this like 70s, 80s, 90s, I don't know like the decades, but probably like an 80s look inside. There used to be at its peak around 400 restaurants, and then at the 2024, there was a little under 250, but they've since actually made a modest recovery back to around 320. So they're everywhere. They go through a lot of trials and tribulations, ups and downs. So we're going to test them out now to see if it is deserved. So we just got seated at Johnny Rockets. They used to have jukeboxes that would go right here. Now they've replaced it with jukebox QR codes. So you're able to pick the tune, which is cool at the restaurant, but what you have to do is scan this in order to get it. So they're moving in a direction of modernity. I think they're heading into the 21st century finally. Now here, they have a pretty simple menu, which I always appreciate. So I'm going to get their classic, the Rocket sandwich. We just went ahead and placed the order. Really nice server. She came up. We just placed it for burger, fries, and a shake. The classic diner burger combo. We'll see how long it takes. It's cool because you can like watch them cook and everything as you're sitting here. Good vibes, good music playing. I really like the seats too. Super comfy. It's like those throwback booths where you can actually like sink into them. Good vibe so far.
A few moments later.
All right, so here are the fries. They are fresh out of the fryer. They're very hot. Still see the oil splash on them. This is about the fries you'd expect from Johnny Rockets. They're almost like McDonald's fries, but unsalted, which is good. I think McDonald's is some of the best fries. Good fry, nice and fresh. It did take a little bit to get our food. We're still waiting, probably like 20 minutes later. It's busy though, it's a Saturday. So we've been waiting now for probably 35 minutes for our burger. Fries are now cold. They came out steaming hot. They're now cold. We had really high hopes coming in, but unfortunately, Johnny Rockets, I can see why you're disappearing because this time is insane. Okay, so the burger has now come out. She actually is giving us fresh fries because we were waiting so long for it. Here's the burger here. It is fresh and hot off the grill. I'd hope so after all this time. And despite waiting super long, I am going to give it a fair review to see if Johnny Rockets actually has good food. That's good. That's what I would expect from a burger. All right, so we just finished at Johnny Rockets. No joke, that took about 1 hour to get a burger, fry, and a shake. So the food was really good, but as far as the service goes, and not that it was like, you know, they were mean or bad, but timing-wise, I've never had to wait that long in my entire life at a table. So unfortunately, Johnny Rockets, I can see why you're disappearing. Now we're outside of Friendly's. If you're from the Northeast, then you've probably certainly heard of this or been here. It's a cult classic, a cult favorite. I love Friendly's. It's one of my favorite spots, or used to be when I was growing up. So they had 800 locations at their peak in the late 90s. Now they have something like 100 locations and they are closing rapidly. So we're gonna go inside and see whether or not this disappearance is justified. So we're just gonna be getting ice cream at Friendly's. That's what they're known for, but they have a lot of other items like mini mozzarella sticks. You can get super melts. You can get basically the whole kitchen sink here, but I'm just curious to get their Monster Mash, which is one of their classic sundaes. All right, order secured, now we wait. This is the Monster Mash, so it comes with 2 M&M eyes, Reese's Pieces ears, hair in the back, mint chocolate chip ice cream, and cherry nose. So excited to try this. Very cute.
insane.
So I think my microphone actually died during the Friendly's review, but just to be abundantly clear, that was one of the greatest mint chocolate chip ice creams I've ever had in my entire life. I think Friendly's is awesome. If you have a local Friendly's near you, you might as well just try it out, bombard them with business, because what other ice cream spot can you get a good ice cream and then also have it presented in a fun way like a Monster? So do I think that Friendly's will be out of business in 5 to 10 years? I hope not. I don't think so, though. They're operating, I think, at like a pretty small scale, so they should be good to go. But I'm a big fan.
So behind me is Red Robin. Red Robin is the gourmet burger shop. You may have been to one, you may have not been to one, and you probably won't end up going to one because they are closing 70 of their 500 locations, so more than 15% of them. And the reason being is because they want to only have locations that are profitable, which is honestly pretty strategic and fair. So let's go inside and see if they really should be shutting down as many locations as they are. Ambiance is good so far. Like a Chili's, Fridays, Dave & Buster's fusion all together. Good landmarks and everything. Here's the menu here. Bunch of gourmet burgers. I'm going to get their signature, which looks to be, the Royal Red Robin, which is just a standard bacon cheeseburger with an egg on it. Interesting. Okay, so here's the burger. It arrived. We have the egg on top it, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna cut into that with, I guess, this. This is my only utensil. Let that drip all over it. Oh, wow, look at that. I'm gonna give it a try. I would say it's like a gourmet burger. The quality is pretty high. I'm not like a great burger judge because I don't think like burgers are the greatest food ever, but it's definitely high quality. Like, I see why they took their dear time with bringing this out. They asked if I wanted it pink or not pink, which I've never heard before. You're just like, oh, do you want it like medium rare? I said no pink, and they abided by it. Just finished at Red Robin. Some of the worst service I've ever had in my life. All I did was order a water and then a burger, and I want to say it took maybe like 45 minutes to receive. Asked for the check, didn't get the check, had to end up paying with the kiosk. I see why they're disappearing. The manager was nice. He kind of came over and stuff to check in on us. I would never actually complain in real life and be like, oh, the service was bad. But for you guys, so you know, Red Robin, I mean, you can definitely feel their bankruptcy. I'm not going to go back. I can see this place being gone in like 3 to 5 years. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun, so thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content, make sure to click here, click here. Otherwise, subscribe and your way out, and I'll see you next time.
In your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops, you have to put the CD in your computer. Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer. I just figured out why it isn't working. You have to put the CD back into the computer. Oops. Whoop! Whoops! To the computer. Whoops! Whoops! You have to put this. Whoops! You have to put CD back in your computer. Oops, you have to put this. Put this. Put this. Oops, you have to put this. Oops, you have to put Oops, you have to put this. have to put... Oops, you have to put Oops, you have to put Oops, you have to put Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put... to put... Oops, you have to put
It's me, Mario! It's me, Mario! Mario!
It's me, Mario!
Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put the Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put this... Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put this... Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put this... have to put... You have to put Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put this... Oops, you have to put... Oops, you have to put this... 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 You have to put this...
I just figured out why it...
Into the computer. You have to put the seed. Just put it out why it isn't working. You have to put the seed back.
Put the CD back in your computer.
You have to put the seed back.
Oops, you have to put the CD back in your computer.
You have to put the seed back. You have to put the seed. You have to put the seed back. You have to put the seed.
Oops, you have to put the...
You have to put the You have to put the You have to put the
apologize for toasting the
Cromwell Productors, Cromwell Productors, Cromwell Productors, Cromwell Productors, Cromwell Productors, Cromwell Productors.
Whatever color is, I'm sure it's not the most.
Cromwell Productors, Cromwell Productors.
Whatever color is, I'm sure it's not the most interesting question you have for people have asked you. You say beige, never. But how many times?
Weighed over 1,000 pounds and was on the slap. There go you.
Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is an estimated annuity.
You know something, there just isn't any better way to put it than...
Oh look, what clever children. See them study, watch them learn. How I hate those goody-goodies. How they make my stomach turn. I got a little secret that'll really make them cry. It's a nasty kind of magic from a special kind of guy. This book is made to order, but it isn't to be read. When they open up this book, they're sucked inside instead to the most unpleasant place they've ever seen. The magic labyrinth of I Am Maine. Very scary and confusing destination of my choosing. Magic labyrinth of I Am Maine.
Going global again. It's the around the world food tier list. Today we're going to Mexico. Also, this video will be dubbed in Spanish by me.
That would actually go crazy. You should do that for real. Yeah. Also, I can't help but notice neither of you put on the mustaches that I left out for you.
Were there mustaches?
Oh, I thought that was just a cardboard thing. I just picked it up and
no, those were mustaches.
Sorry.
First dish.
That's a lot.
We've got
tacos.
Quavo Ranchero.
Don't touch them for a second.
Also,
look at the plates.
And also, how many of you eat grilled cheese for breakfast?
No, I got to that point in the video and I stopped editing it.
The better question is, how many of you consider grilled cheese a breakfast food?
No,
I've definitely had it wouldn't be called grilled cheese, but I've had cheese on bread.
When I was a kid, my mom would whip that up for breakfast pretty often. I thought, up until we Shaq's Big Chicken, I thought it was a breakfast item.
I mean, a breakfast sandwich has bread and cheese, but it also has the egg and the meat and stuff. Just grilled cheese, I think is a little interesting.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, I didn't think it was far of a leap. You guys looked at me like I was a fucking psychopath.
I'm gonna break the egg.
And also, grilled cheese is a historic, hangover food. What is a...
He swears all the time.
Oh, yeah. We're not secrets. We're making it to stay. Never heard that before.